So, Reuters is reporting SpaceX IPO demand is approaching 4 times oversubscribed, quote unquote, sources say. Oh, lordy, boys and girls, your parasocial daddy is just tired today. It's just a tiring day. I woke up this morning, I ran 15 miles, and then I opened up my news feed and was like, darn, I think I'd rather go out and run another 15. Can I run some more instead of talk about the news today? Anyways, lordy. So the SpaceX IPO, it is coming up on Friday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. This will get published today, so it's within the proper timeline or whatever. Anyways, it's IPOing on Friday. They're gonna try to IPO it at $1.77 trillion, $135 a share, and we're gonna see what the hell happens. Look, I don't understand. I am not against SpaceX. I'm not actually even against Elon Musk. That's the weird thing. You know, imagine this. Imagine Elon Musk paints his house a color that you don't like. And you go, wow, I just really don't like the color Elon Musk painted his house. And then all the Elon Musk stans will come out of the woodwork saying, oh, why are you a Musk hater? Your TDS is so bad, it's bringing Musk into your mental insanity. And you're like, no, I just don't like that color. I just don't think that color looks good on the house. That's not being a Musk hater. That's just like, I don't know why he picked that color, right? It's not a Musk hater. It's not being a SpaceX hater to say, my God, they're trying to make this thing worth $1.77 trillion, which is just bat crap insane. And so there's been a lot of curious stuff with this whole, with this IPO, a lot of stuff to really try to pump it. And that's a question that I have. I'm kind of curious to see where this will go. There is a lot of effort to pump the hell out of this IPO coming out of the gate. But one of the things to think about is that once you become a publicly traded company, you know, this is not a sprint. This is not even a marathon. This is a lifetime of healthy practices. Like, once you become public, right, you've got to keep that company going essentially forever, right? And so one of the curious things here is they're pumping the stock so hard to really come out of this IPO successful. And my big question is, yeah, but what happens day 2, week 2, month 2, year 2? Like the numbers don't make sense at $1.77 trillion. If it was a $500 billion company, there would be an interesting question, an argument there about valuations. But at $1.77 trillion, they have brought forward, it's called bringing forward, they have brought forward so much of the value, the potential value to be gained, that when, even if it does become a $2 trillion company, like when? 2040? 2050? Right? That's all the stuff that's very confusing, right? And so with this, so they're allocating up to 30% of their stock for retail investors. Now, to be clear, when a company normally IPOs, one of the hinky things that's done, and to be clear, it is a hinky thing, not saying this is good necessarily, but one of the things that's done is only 5 to 10% of the shares of a company that's IPOing normally are released to retail investors. Most of the shares are essentially allocated to big financial institutions, retirement funds, index, you know, big fund type things, and only 5 to 10% actually go to retail investors, which there are actual issues with how that's done. But one of the curious things with the SpaceX IPO is 30%. 30%. It's not like they're going from 5 to 10% to 15. They're going from 5 to 10% to 30% is being allocated to retail investors, because most likely they're going to be the ones that are most excited about buying SpaceX. They are not buying based off of P&E. They are not thinking about bringing value forward. They're not thinking that, you know, the space launch business for SpaceX literally has about the same revenue as OnlyFans. This is true, right? They're just like, I want to buy into the future, right? So they have that going on. Then they have the whole thing where they're going to be put into the NASDAQ 100 within 15 days, right? They're going to IPO almost immediately, go into the NASDAQ 100. Normally, there's a period of time once a company is IPO'd that they actually have to be public before they're allowed to become a member of these indexes. And the reason is they just want to make sure everything shakes out properly. Again, this isn't even like an insane thing or a gatekeeper thing. It's like, okay, well, the stock is going to come out. Sometimes they pop and then they sink. Sometimes they sink and then they pop. Basically, we just want to get through the roller coaster ride, like the first month, and see what the consensus value essentially for this stock should be. After 5-6 months, maybe a year, or whatever else. Okay, this is how everybody seems to agree the stock should be valued. We feel comfortable bringing that into the index fund. No, fuck that. NASDAQ 100, NASDAQ was like, no, this is... Why does Elon Musk have to play by the rule? Are you noticing how often this seems to happen with Elon Musk? What rules are for other people? Elon Musk is special, right? And so they're going to be dumping this in very quickly. This is going to go in the index fund. Anybody who's tracking the NASDAQ 100 is going to immediately buy the stock. And so there's just a lot of this going on. And so, as I've said before, I look at this, I feel, right, it makes me nauseous. Literally, this IPO makes me nauseous. Like the Anthropic IPO, that's just dumb. That's just dumb. I do not lose any sleep at night over the Anthropic IPO or the OpenAI IPO. I look at that, that's dumb, and then I go to bed. I get really nervous about the SpaceX IPO because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on here that goes beyond greed, that goes beyond the capitalist system, that goes beyond a lot of stuff. So anyways, I did a video a couple of days ago talking about the SpaceX IPO being oversubscribed by double. So basically, somewhere between the actual raise itself is going to be between $75 billion and $86 billion. So $75 billion is what is being released normally. Apparently, the banks, if they want to grab a little bit more equity, there's been an agreement they can grab up to about 11.5 billion more dollars in equity. That's where that whole $86 billion comes from. So anyways, basically I was talking about this a few days ago, where there are actual purchase orders or people who say that they want to purchase up to $150 billion of stock at $135 a share. And that's what we talked about a little while ago. Apparently that is now up to like $250 billion. So they're now looking at a 4 times oversubscription for the SpaceX IPO. And yeah, I don't know. Look, I can't tell you the future. I can't tell you the future. Believe me, if I could see the future, I would have skipped out before the Great Recession happened. Great Recession, not a good time. The weird thing with this, like who knows what's going to go? I've talked about this before with Tesla, right? Tesla stock stopped making sense years ago. I think they're like at 300 P and E ratio or whatever. Anyways, right? Their numbers are just, but they keep being insane. But here's the thing. They keep being insane. What should something be valued? And the important thing to understand is the reason that something is valued the way that it is people decide that is how much they're willing to spend for it. And that is it, right? Back in the day, I was dealing with these old white guys and money people. They're losing their minds. They're like, who let an ass pee into this office? God damn it. Anyways, I was trying to figure things out, and I was like, okay, when you look at this portfolio and all this kind of stuff, like what do you weigh a stock against? Do you compare this against a basket of currencies? Do you compare this against, whatever, stocks or commodities in Europe? Like when you're looking to make like a real purchase of things like stock for a portfolio, how do you determine the value of what you think that stock should be? And again, it was amazing. Again, these are real people. These are real people. This isn't fucking 16-year-old smoking dope talking about how the world should be. No, these are real motherfuckers. Literally, I remember this guy, he's just so fucking exasperated. And he's like, Eli, the value of something is what people are willing to pay at the time of the transaction. That's it. That's it. There's no basket of currencies. There's none of this other shit going on. You look at the thing you're about to buy. Are you willing to spend X amount of money for it? Are they willing to sell it for X amount of money? That is the value of the thing. Done, right? The reason that you want volume for things like stock, right, is basically because you get a good signal for what people are continuously willing to pay. So one of the problems you have when you buy a house is you buy a house, but you're going to keep the house for a long time. It's not like you're buying and selling houses literally every other day, right? You buy a house and then you sell it 5 or 10 years from now. One of the problems is you don't really know what the value of that house is actually going to be. You want it, you think the value is here, but you might end up selling it here, right? That's the whole thing. And so the idea of the volume for the stock market is when you have a large volume of transactions for a stock, you're constantly seeing what is called the consensus value, what people agree the value of the stock should be. And that's it, boys and girls. That's it. There's your MBA. There's your MBA. Oh. So anyways, when we look at this whole SpaceX stock thing, what should it be valued at? I think this is stupid. I think this is beyond stupid. But I've had some viewers like, oh yeah, if you're so confident this is dumb, why don't you short it? Because when you short something, basically you have unlimited downside. You have unlimited potential for losses. And this thing might fucking pop. Like, in no sane world should this stock go up. No sane world should this stock go up. Could the stock go to 4 trillion? Yes. Yes. It shouldn't. It should go down to about 500 billion or less. But it could go to 4 trillion. And I don't really want to get part of that insanity. What is it, the whole thing? The market can remain, insane or whatever, longer than you can remain solvent. That is a real thing. So yeah, I don't know. Space. I don't know. So SpaceX is, as said, being 4 times oversubscribed. Elon Musk's SpaceX has drawn more than $250 billion of investor demand for what stands to be the largest ever IPO, said people familiar with the matter on Tuesday, dwarfing the $75 billion the firm is seeking to raise. The deal's oversubscription rate is running at 3.5 to 4 times the planned offering size, sources say, which bankers and investors say is the latest sign that demand is strong. Long-only funds have put in what one source described as sizable orders. Musk briefly joined some Zoom meetings with potential investors. The company remains in the midst of the marketing process. On Tuesday, SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell and Finance Chief Brett Johnson were expected to attend a lunch meeting at Morgan Stanley in Midtown Manhattan with about 300 institutional investors and hosted by Morgan Stanley co-president Dan Simowitz, whatever. Investor demand is still subject to change for the IPO prices expected on Thursday afternoon. I do find this interesting whenever we talk about this. So the whole IPO pricing thing is basically the idea is that they're supposed to be trying to figure out what value to put on the stock. Again, what should the stock be? Normally it's a range. Normally they're talking about a range, right? Low end, we want to sell at $25 a share. High end, we want to sell at $35 a share. And so the idea is the day before or whatever, they lock in the price that they want to go for, right? They want a little bit of pop, but they don't want to leave money on the table. It is kind of weird. They keep talking about this setting price, but as far as I understand, the price has been set. It's $135 a share. Like it, hate it, whatever else. It's $135 a share. So I do have to say that's an interesting thing just to keep a look at. Tomorrow, again, recording this Wednesday, we'll actually publish this Wednesday. So take a look at that tomorrow. Will the stock price change? It doesn't seem like they want it to, but who knows? Maybe it will. Let's see here. Subscription figures reflect indications of interest rather than the final allocations, which will be set at pricing. Again, they keep talking about this pricing thing, and this really makes me confused because I thought it was priced. The sources added that some large institutional investors tend to submit orders late in the IPO process. So the idea is, for the large institutional investors, maybe they're going to submit orders even later. So maybe there's going to be even more people that want this stock than what we're currently being told. So we're gonna see what happens. The important thing to understand with this is that the subscription rate or whatever, this is not actually a buy order. This has not actually been sold yet. So you can't kind of like the Cybertruck. Remember the Cybertruck? They had like 1 million people that reserved Cybertrucks, and then nobody bought the fucker. Kind of the same thing here, right? So with the subscriptions, like these are the people that say they're gonna buy. Doesn't actually mean they are gonna buy, so who knows what that means really at the end of the day. We're all gonna find it. We are all on this trip together. It's kind of like a roller coaster. You get on a roller coaster, right? And then you're on the roller coaster, and then you look over, and you're like, oh crap, the roller coaster over there is the one that I thought that I was getting on. What the hell did I just get on? And then you go, oh, but no, this was the roller coaster I definitely never wanted to ride in my entire life. And you're already locked in, and you're 100 feet in the air, and you're going to get that experience regardless of how you feel about it. So that's what we're going to get with this whole SpaceX IPO. So what do you think about this? Again, not the Musk stands out there. Look, I get it. Elon Musk fanboys, whatever. This is the greatest thing in the world. You're investing in the future. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I'm just saying for everybody else, like 10 times, Alibaba IPO'd at $169 billion. 1.77 trillion is literally over. It's actually over. It's over 10x the largest IPO in history. And basically, they're coming to the table with a space launch capacity with the revenue of OnlyFans. Can't make this crap up. Yeah, I know. There's this whole thing. They're gonna launch data. They're gonna launch data centers in space because apparently, Elon Musk hasn't seen Wyoming. Dear big tech companies, do you know where you can build data centers, multiple times the size of Manhattan, and nobody will probably even notice? It's called Wyoming. Think about this. Go look at a map. Go look at a map and look at Wyoming. Wyoming is a huge state. It takes you like 8 hours driving across the damn thing at like 80 miles an hour, right? Here's the thing. Last time I looked, their entire population was like 450,000 people. If you look at Baltimore City, so Baltimore City, where I was from, not inside the Beltway, right? So here in the United States, a lot of times you say a city and you think about inside the Beltway. No. The city itself is actually even smaller than that. So you look at Baltimore City. This is a city that has been dying for 50 years. For 50 years, maybe it's 60 years now, literally every single year it loses population. It still has 630,000 people in it. A dying city on the East Coast has 630,000 people in it. Wyoming, it takes you 8 hours to drive across at 80 miles an hour. Has like 450,000 people in it. I'm just saying, it seems like a wonderful place to put some fucking data centers. But no. Why build data centers in Wyoming when you can launch them into space? That shit makes sense. Oh, God. Remember when you could be proud of your industry? Remember when you could be a technology professional? You could wake up every day and you're like, yeah, damn right. We are making the world a better place. I understand decisions have to be made. Sometimes people agree with the decisions. Sometimes people disagree with the decisions. When we talk about making the world better on aggregate, it means the world is better on aggregate, but individual people may have, higher pain points than other people, right? But we are making the world a better. Remember when you could feel that way about being a tech professional? Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. I don't know what the fuck this shit is. This is just dumb. Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes, you want them on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, there's a link down in the description. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.